Well, hello and welcome again to the Skillwork Forum, where we're always interested in answering the question, how do we address the skilled trades gap in America today? And we like to engage with all of you out there. We like to engage with thought leaders on this topic. And by the way, we'd love for you to engage with us on this podcast, ask questions, give us some ideas and thoughts. And today, along those lines, we're very honored to have a special guest with us today, Mr. Jim Townsend. Jim is from Kawasaki Motors down the road from us here in Lincoln, Nebraska. He'll introduce himself. He's got a long history with Kawasaki. He's the corporate manager of safety training and development. And I actually got a chance to hear Jim speak here late this last year at a statewide manufacturing event where he talked very passionately about Kawasaki's successful development of an apprenticeship program, a training program. As a matter of fact, Jim will let us in on where he is today here in just a minute. He's actually doing a little bit of that today. So, Jim, welcome to our podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Morning. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Hey, Jim. Well, welcome. So, yeah, I'll just jump in. And so, obviously, well, I shouldn't assume everybody, but I think most people have heard of Kawasaki. And so, but tell us a little bit, maybe specific about what Kawasaki does there in Lincoln, where you are, and then, if you want to share more, more broadly, kind of how many facilities and things that you have across the country, and then if you just want to roll into kind of what your role is, and you can share a little bit, what you've done there at Kawasaki.
Kawasaki Motors Manufacturing is in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's a Nebraska corporation. We have 4 divisions and about 3,000 employees across those divisions. We have a railcar manufacturing division where we weld and fabricate from the beginning rail cars for consumer product, or for East Coast commuter cars and subway cars. We have an aerospace division in Lincoln where we're building cargo doors for Boeing, specifically for the 777 and 777X aircraft. And then we also have a consumer products division. And in those, we have 2 divisions within that where we're building ATVs, side-by-sides, utility vehicles, and neighborhood activity vehicles,
That's
which
what
is
we're
one of
calling
our
those
newest
now.
products.
Okay. I got it.
And then we also have a general purpose engines division where we manufacture, 750,000 engines in 2 plants in Missouri, where our big customers, John Deere, Toro, Hustler, Husqvarna, where we actually, for the commercial lawn equipment and industrial uses for that, they're, V-twin, 16 to 30 horse engines. So that's what we do in Lincoln. We're a contract manufacturer. We are owned our entirety by Kawasaki Motors Corporation in Japan, which is owned by Kawasaki Heavy Industries. We just celebrated our 50-year anniversary this fall in Lincoln, in Nebraska. And Kawasaki itself has been around for over 100 years. Started as a shipbuilding company in Japan and now has morphed into industrial equipment and other things, very vast diversified world company.
A lot more than even I knew, and I've been by the Kawasaki plant multiple times, and just as you were mentioning the side-by-side, I actually own a Kawasaki Mule side-by-side. That was put together down there in your facility, so it's an amazing vehicle. I abuse it, and it does great for us. So I did not know about the rail car and the aerospace industry stuff. That's super cool. How about you, Jim? I mean, how long have you been there? And tell us a little bit about your role.
I'll be approaching 35 years here in December. I started right out of school from graduation from the University of Nebraska. I worked for a company, Cushman Ransom, for a while right out of school, and then I ended up at Kawasaki. I was actually an education major. I was going to coach football. Football is my passion. I was an athlete, athletic football player in college, and because of injury, kind of hung it up, but I still liked education. So I thought I'd work at Kawasaki for a couple of years, have stories to tell kids about, the real world and make school real for them. And then 34 years later, I'm still there.
And ironically, you're at kind of a school today, so you still have a passion for education, right?
Right. So part of my role as a corporate manager for training and development and knock health safety and a lot of the other things is that I kind of bridge the gap between business and industry, our industry, and education providers. So today I'm actually at the Lincoln Public Schools Career Academy, which we were one of the significant contributors when it was formed. And I'm actually in the welding lab with some of our welding instructors at Kawasaki, and we're working with students to learn how Kawasaki welds in its production areas. And they're actually out in the shop right now. There's a lot, as I got to say, these kids get talked a lot at, but we do a little less clucking and more chucking, and they're actually out there welding in the shop doing on Kawasaki materials. So
Really cool, and that feeds right into the conversation that we want to talk about is the innovative ways that Kawasaki is addressing, their need for skilled trades guys. You're talking about welders. I know you have other skilled trades there, but tell us a little bit about your apprenticeship program there, and more broadly, what when we say apprenticeship program, what does that look like today in modern day manufacturing, and your specific program there.
When I started with Kawasaki, we had a very seniority-based flat compensation system. And so it was difficult and challenging to embrace people increasing their skills and knowledges and abilities and attracting new talent. So what we'd done is we went quite a few years without being able to fill positions in welding and in maintenance, specifically electromechanical maintenance technology,
Right.
where we couldn't get maintenance people. We couldn't hire them from the outside. So we decided to build our own. And so we created a Kawatech apprenticeship program internally, where we basically mimicked the Southeast Community College electromechanical maintenance technology program and created apprenticeships. So basically those kids go through and get a math, business comm, go through, and we teach it internally. And then from that, we also select people that we send off to Milford, and we pay for them to go to school and pay them to go to school. And they go to school as employees for 2 years, and then come back graduates from that program. And then we also apprentice people within the department, where we work and just skill them up using internal education and educational partners to skill them up based upon competencies. And then we also are now working with attracting youth into those programs also. So
Wow.
we expanded our pay and changed it completely from seniority based to skill competency based. So to mirror an apprenticeship. So we went from 3 levels of pay to 10. And then in the upper technical skills, we actually eliminated seniority. And so that allowed us to show an attractive wage to external employees, but also incumbent employees to achieve and aspire to and work their way up an apprenticeship.
Yeah, that sounds like, a significant investment of time, resource, and obviously dollars for Kawasaki. That's very forward-leaning, and I think kind of a long-term visionary approach. What would you say to companies out there that look at something like that and go, we can't afford to do that. We need solutions today?
I would say that talking about it and thinking about it, you got to do something. And the incumbent program and the apprenticeships, where it's based upon competencies and building your own, you're kind of investing in a person that comes to work every day who rather than trying to interview and assess someone. And we found that to be very successful. And we've been able to overcome significant retirements and growth by doing this and using incumbent workers and developing them, and then creating opportunities for new workers to come in, while also recruiting externally for people with those skills. But if you think that someone with those skills is going to walk in and apply to your place, that's a tough thing. All we do is pass around the same employees. So I would say you got to do something, and apprenticeship is a great model to do it.
That's kind of try before you buy. You get an idea whether they like it, whether you like them, whether they fit in, right?
We talk about a lot in our company, Jim, about, we call it the 3-legged stool, and one of those is upskilling, apprenticeship program. We tell every company, obviously you know what we do. We go out, we bridge that gap because a lot of the companies aren't as advanced as you are in what they want to do, kind of a thing. But so, I'm borrow a term from a lady that leads similar to what you do at Dow Chemical. They call it their total talent strategy. And so when you think about, are you kind of lumping apprenticeship and upskilling together? So you're attracting from the outside, like you said, all the way down to high school kids, and then you're upskilling, I would assume, people inside the plant. And then
Yes.
as you think about your total talent, so maybe give us a little bit of specific. How long have you guys been doing this? How much has it closed the gap in meeting your needs? In from welders to, I think you said, like electromechanical type roles.
We've been able to meet our needs, actually, and we went for years and years with having 15 to 20 or more high-level welding positions open in our rail car division, to in electromechanical having 3 to 7 job openings. But by working and getting rid of the flat seniority-based pay and going to a competency skill-based apprenticeship pay, we were able to show a target wage to external employees, but also incumbently grow those employees internally. What we've seen, we've done 15 of those people that I talked about where we've selected them internally and sent them to school for 2 years. Of those 15, we still retain 13 of them. One of them now is a maintenance supervisor, and the other one is destined probably to be a maintenance supervisor also. And what we see is those incumbent workers jump into these programs, grow, and then the next thing you know, they're hopping into our management and leadership tracks also. So we've been able to meet most of our needs through the apprenticeship, either recruiting externally or incumbent, or through the youth welder programs like what I was just talking about, where we're going out and doing that. We're actually going to use that same model that we're using for the youth welding apprenticeship to start adding it to design drafting and automation robotics and other careers where kids are getting high school credit for those things through high school, where they're getting dual credit for drafting and design and CAD. And so we're going to start connecting with those kids and actually bringing them in as apprentices. And then if they demonstrate competency and effort in the right stuff, then we'll probably offer them the opportunity to get their school paid for. And then they would continue to work for us as apprentices, and then after completing of their education, become employees. So that's where we're trying to get to them sooner. So I said you kind of use the model of a youth athletics recruiting, and that's kind of what we're trying to do as an approach. And we've been able to meet our needs through this.
Is the skilled labor shortage hurting your company's bottom line? Skillwork is the premier staffing agency focusing exclusively on skilled labor. Our team of highly skilled workers augments your existing teams for elevated impact and decreased downtime. Partnering with hundreds of facilities in more than 30 states, we deploy our traveling industrial technicians to work for you on a contract basis. Our philosophy is simple: to honor God in all we do, bring respect back to the skilled trades, and positively impact those around us. For more information on how Skillwork can deliver the top labor talent you need, visit skillwork.com or call us at 402-447-7058. Call us today to see how Skillwork can work for you.
That's very innovative. I'm guessing that some of the people you find incumbents in your own plant, and you can clarify, but did some of those come off traditional production line workers that have aptitude that you transition over? So these are people that show some mechanical aptitude or desire, and you pull them from production line and offer them an opportunity to get educated. That's great.
Yeah, so we have 5 core courses that are kind of the gateway courses into the apprenticeship program. And one is blueprint reading, metrology, industrial math, business communications, and Microsoft Excel skills and Microsoft Windows skills. So the employees, we provide those classes at no charge on site so after their shift or before their shift. So we offer them because we're a 24-hour operation. And then the employees that complete those 5 classes then are selected and our ability to be interested in and apply for opportunities for advancement within those programs. And we've discovered some just powerfully capable people. And it actually, if you build their skill, then the knowledge that they bring with them from wherever they've came from makes them even more powerful. So,
yeah. And that knowledge of actually having worked on the production line, I mean, there's some value in that as well. So that's really cool. So gives us an idea about how you identify people inside the plant. But the young kids you're talking about that are there learning welding from your instructors today, how do you recruit those kids? Because, our whole culture has told them, and anybody our age, you ask them, what is your kid doing? They're automatically going to this college or that college. So how have you guys been able to attract the youth to get in these programs? How do you find them?
I would encourage business and industry, to get out and work with educational partners. So what we've done is asked education, how can we better support what you're trying to do? We don't go tell them what they should do. We kind of just try to get our foot in the door, providing materials, time and talent, and in some cases, financial resources. And then what we do is we like visits like today, the kids at the Career Academy, but we also make visits to Wahoo. It's been a really productive area for us for youth welding and for welders. And we go to the Wahoo industrial technology programs, and we go in and we roll in with one of our units and some of our stuff. And we don't really talk at kids. We talk, they're hands-on kids, and they want to get engaged, and then they start talking, and and then we are able to use our younger employees, and they talk about, hey, today's generation takes their opinions they don't want to hear about what it's like from an old man like me. They want to know, you value the opinions of their peers.
Yeah.
So we've really got involved with education. So one of our programs for welding is within Lincoln Public Schools. Twice a year in their advanced welding classes, we have welding instructors from Kawasaki in those welding classes teaching Kawasaki specific welding skills. But we're also meeting the state standard, helping that instructor, the teacher, the educator, meet the state standard for advanced welding. But we're just in there, and we provide the fixtures, the helmets, the material, the welders, and then provide our time and talent in the classroom to help those kids. So then what we do is then we have a pathway coming through to do that. And now we're starting to do that with automation and robotics and the electromechanical technology and design drafting. So I would encourage people, you got to get out there. You got to bring your, just give away money. You got to bring your time, talent, and treasure and get involved, and avoid telling education what they need to do, and try to become as a partner. And then it really helps. And that's how we're recruiting out externally, whether it's engineers for the University of Nebraska electromechanical engineering program. We're doing the same thing and offering internship opportunities for those students also.
Really a long-term approach, and very laudable what you guys are doing. And by the way, for those listening that aren't familiar with Nebraska communities, Wahoo is an actual community here. It's not just Jim being excited about what he's doing.
It used to be have a town called Wahoo. Headquarters for David Letterman for a while, I think, even way back in the day.
So when he said Wahoo, he's excited, but there's actually a place there. The Gen Z stuff, Brett, the Gen Z generation, we're excited about this generation because they ask questions, they're willing to push back, and you mentioned, Jim, those of us in our era, we would be smart to listen and allow them to ask questions and maybe break some of our old paradigms. So I thought that was interesting.
No, I think it's great. I mean, you guys are, you're leading the way in this. We talk to a lot of companies, and so, kudos to you for what you're doing. A lot of people talk about it, like you said, and a lot of people throw money at it. It takes a lot of effort. So what you have done personally, and Kawasaki is a big piece of it. But so it sounds like, I think it's great too, because it sounds like the internal employees for sure that go down this path, sounds like it's about a 2-year path. And they got skin in the game, because they're not getting to do this during hours. They're having to make the commitment. So they're committed, which is great. Are all the programs about that scale? It's a couple years. It's like a couple year process.
Takes them about a year to complete the core courses to make themselves eligible. And once they're accepted and into the program, then it's all that training and development and apprenticeship work occurs during paid work time. So,
nice.
but in order to get that past that core course and make themselves eligible, they have to kind of have a stake in the game, the incumbent employees.
Are you guys going any further back than high school, or is that kind of where you're reaching out and getting involved?
So we used the opportunity. There was a youth talent initiative grants through the Department of Economic Development. We were able to get a grant and work with Lincoln Public Schools, where now each quarter, the middle school kids in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in Lincoln Public Schools are exposed to curriculum where Kawasaki is involved in that. So they have specific objectives that they're accomplishing when they take that quarter of of skilled and technical science, and we've branded and supported what they're trying to accomplish and got Kawasaki's name in front of that. So I'd like to think that we've had an influence. I'm out here today at Career Academy, and they have 6 full cohorts of welding here at TCA. And when it started, we had 1.
Yeah, that's great.
So I think I'd like to say that between the Lincoln Manufacturing Council and other employers involved in Lincoln and what we've been doing, that it's starting to show. We're starting, what we started 15 or 20 years ago now is starting to show the pathways and kids that are wanting to come work for us and have the chance to advance.
Well, I think what you just said there is something to emphasize. It's a long play. We work, one of our early customers was a large food manufacturing company. They're still a customer of ours today. And I don't know where they came up with these numbers, but I think it plays about right, is they had done a study of the timeline that it would take. They came up with 17 years, to basically
to
go
implement
back.
a program like this. Yeah.
To really start to see the impact, and most people aren't, especially in today's world, we all got phones. We want instant gratification and type of thing. So the plug I was going to give, and offline we can give you the name and you can do with it what you want. But here in Omaha, and it's actually the Midwest Council, but there's a guy leading. He actually led robotics at Wahoo at the school there, and he leads now Invention Scouts, which is part of the Boy Scouts of America, or whatever they call themselves.
Scouting America.
Scouting America. But I've had specific conversations with him, got to know him. We had him on our podcast. But they're going into the grade schools and the junior highs, and one of their big things is teaching kids to weld. And they're using some, I think there's like some electronic equipment where you're not actually welding and stuff. And so I'll get you contacted. I think he'd love to at least have the conversation. It'll get you back even a few more years. So
he's actually coming to visit us. I think Mike, I got a calendar so the Invention Scouts are actually coming to visit, I think, in the next couple of weeks.
There we go.
Kawasaki.
There we go.
Connection's been made.
Yeah, he's doing some good stuff, but it's a long play. So, but
I was going to say, one of the things that we've found as a benefit is by doing apprenticeship and doing these skill-based pay is that we've seen that we were able to attract the talent externally also, because we can show the achievable wage, the just show me wage. And I think that's important, because then now we can give people the wage based upon their technical capabilities. So they come in, we make them show us and demonstrate that competency. But by doing the competency and apprenticeship model, it has allowed us to pay people what the skills and knowledge and abilities are worth.
What a concept, merit-based pay and promotion. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So I'm curious about 2 things, Jim. One, it's kind of maybe a broader topic, but Kawasaki's an international company. They've been around for 100 plus years, you talked about. And, Japanese manufacturing is known for innovation, things like that. Has any of this made its way back through the organization from Lincoln, Nebraska up and out, or is this still pretty much what you guys do in your part of the Kawasaki organization?
So actually, our president, Mike Boyle, and his team, exec team, have to present business plans and things back in Japan to our owner. And so the youth welding apprenticeship that we've talked about in the summer and all these projects are presented and go back to Japan so they know that we're actively working to build a pipeline so that they understand that there's not a manpower shortage or issue in Lincoln. So if they wanted to expand here, it would be great.
Yeah, that's
We want to
great.
make sure
That's
that
very
they understand
strategic.
that.
See, that's
But,
the idea
you know,
that there's
that we are working hard to
Yeah.
sustain our capabilities and maintain our capabilities as a manufacturer here, that we're working hard to have that pipeline built. And we're starting to see the fruits of that. And so, yeah, it is communicated.
Well, I mean, see, there's the innovative thinker like that understands that this is an investment, not a cost, and gives you opportunities. So the other question I have, you mentioned traditionally you had kind of a flat seniority base. So how do the guys that have hair my color, how do they think about this new paradigm? And the baby boomers that are exiting, have they embraced it?
So one of the questions you gave me was, what are the biggest lesson you learned in running your apprenticeship program? And that's actually what I was going to talk about. It was very painful. And it was when we implemented skill-based pay, then we became a show me type of organization. And we had a lot of people that were incumbent employees that said, well, I do this every day, just give me the money. And we had to stick to our guns. And that was probably one of the biggest challenges, along with developing the competencies that we had to check to give them that. So we can't just say that they had the capability. We actually had to give them. So if they're going to do troubleshooting on a piece of equipment, what things do they have to demonstrate to be able to do that? Well, they have to be able to connect to the PLC, maybe do some electrical connectivity troubleshooting and sensor troubleshooting. So we had to create checkoff sheets that were initialed by the mentor to go do that. And I had some of the people that were older than myself that were very frustrated with me. But once they engaged and actually understood, I used to give the example of, I know you can change a tire, just show me that you can change a tire, because if you can't, then I'm not going to pay you to do that. And I'm not going to pay. And so really what they kind of realized then, if a person couldn't change a tire, we weren't going to pay them for being able to change a tire. So then it became more transparent and more friendly. So it was a very tough transition. It took about 2 years for them to not hate me and the other manager that were working through this. But we stuck to our guns and we were very stubborn about it and said, look, it's not, you just need to show me. I know you do it every day. I believe you. And I am confident you know how to do this. So just do it so we can check you off and get you a pay raise.
Yeah, and those that don't want to get on board, with where we're going as a culture, then yay, good luck.
Yeah, we left them on that flat pay scale.
Yeah.
And so there were some long-term technical people that didn't engage, and we just left them there.
Yeah.
And they haven't advanced, and they're now mostly retiring, but that's okay. That was their choice. We didn't force them.
Right. That's good. That's really good. But this is a topic that Brett and I are very passionate about, and I could tell you or two, we could talk about it a long time, but any other final questions you have, Brett?
Maybe the only thing would be, people like stories. So if you got a short success story you want to share with us, might be a good way to bring us home.
Right.
One of the stories would be the youth welding program. We had a kid that came out from Wahoo, actually, who was a very successful participant. He was one of the kids that in his letter said, hey, you did well enough. We want to offer you a job post-graduation. And he called us and told us when he got his letter in the mail, he was so excited. He went and met with his high school counselor and made it possible for him to graduate midterm. And then he started with us like the 5th of January of 2025. And now he's on second shift. And every time I see him, I get this big old grin, and he's just having the time of his life. And so to me, those are feel-good stories and feel-good examples of where I can see people advance. But I can tell you I have hundreds of those stories of where people, even incumbent employees or people that have came externally, where they've gone from level 2 or level 1 entry level employees to now level 8 or 9 or 10. And that's had a huge impact on their families. And so they smile when they see me. And so the feeling of satisfaction of helping these people overcome that. And then the other feel-good story would be the amount of immigrants, refugees, and parolees that have came into Kawasaki that we've worked embed painting English language learning with, that now, because they're comfortable with our training development staff and they're learning English, they have transitioned right into the Kawasaki Apprenticeship program. And now they're advancing and becoming these technical employees and becoming part of our leadership team. So to see a person that's here from Guatemala or Ukraine who came to this country with relatively nothing on their back, to advance and now be supervisors or doing technical positions, and we've apprenticed them through that, it helps you sleep. You sleep with a smile on your face.
Tim and I get to, in a totally different way. Obviously, you're doing it there. We get to do similar, but in a different way. In that we provide. Our number two value when we started the company is to bring honor and respect back to the trades, and so we get stories all the time. I just saw one yesterday. Same thing. We get stories back from guys and gals that we put in plants all over the country in the trades, and they come back and say, this changed my family. Thank you for the opportunity. I saw a story yesterday of a guy, I think he's on his 6th contract with us now. When we took a chance on him, he was like had just gotten out of prison or something. I mean, not just out, but type of thing. And those stories, like you said, those are the things that are just great when you make an impact on people's lives.
Yeah, what you're doing there, what we do in a small way, we're helping solve real big problems for the country, for the engine that drives America, but also individually, families, and like you say, Jim, I can tell you're passionate about what you're doing, and when you get a chance to impact people's lives, it really matters. So, man, what you're doing in our little neck of the woods is very innovative. It's impactful, and I applaud what you guys are doing there, and I appreciate you very much sharing your passion with us. And we just want to invite others out that maybe listen to this. Give us what you're doing too. We'd love to be able to share your story. All of us that are in this fight together, we're looking for ways to continually innovate. Things that Jim mentioned today, his company's doing. If you want to engage with us, please, engage at the podcast. Drop us a note. We use this forum as a means to help us all get better and educate ourselves. So, Jim, and thank you so much for being a guest on Skillwork. We appreciate your time. It's valuable. And anybody that's out there listening, again, we appreciate you. Let us know what you think about this. Again, the topics. Go to where you can see our podcast. You can subscribe. That helps us get ideas to move this platform forward. Again, Jim, and thank you. Any final words that you want to share today?
I would just say that, Mike Boyle, our president, and Jason Helbush, our director of admin, and myself have been working really hard to get business and industry, specifically manufacturing, to work together. So what's good for one manufacturer is good for all. And we should all be working together because we bring a lot to the economy of Nebraska and the nation. And I think that it can't be a contest of one-upping each other, but working together and all having the same message. And I think if we could do that, the business and industry, manufacturing specifically, would be a very powerful entity when it comes to helping support and continuing to find and get back to the trades and hands-on skills. So I think that would be the one thought I would like to leave everybody is work together and let's try to have the same message.
Well, I couldn't have said it better if I tried. Jim, you're a great representative of Nebraska and Kawasaki. Thank you for joining us today, and we appreciate you very much. For everyone listening, God bless. Have a great day.
This is Brett Elliott, CEO and co-founder at Skillwork. Prior to starting Skillwork, I spent over 30 years in the food manufacturing space. From literally starting out cleaning the restrooms to becoming the maintenance manager, then the plant manager, to eventually becoming the president and owner, I've seen the manufacturing world from many perspectives. And like many of you, I've seen firsthand the growing need for higher skilled workers, while at the same time experiencing the shortage of this skilled talent. I started Skillwork to address that need. I knew the headhunter and the local temp agency models were not the solution. If you're experiencing the same shortage of talent at your facility, we would love to connect you with our team. Give us a call at 402-447-7058 or visit us online at skillwork.com.